There we go. All right. So just introducing Beyond Recycling, which is our little video. Our little session here. Um, and we are sponsored by Whitefish Community Foundation. So we want to acknowledge them. These sessions run monthly for those of you who are on for the first time. They happen the last Wednesday of the month from 12 to 1:15. We are taking July and August off. And the sessions are going to be available. They're being recorded and they'll be available for future audiences. So you can access them through our website, which is climatesmartglaciercountry.org. And we'll put that into the chat box. We are, just so that you know, we are a volunteer 501c3 nonprofit with the mission of addressing the challenges of a changing climate and what that creates for water, food security, public health, and recreation in our Glacier National Park region and ecosystem. We engage the public to develop local solutions that will conserve resources, promote clean energy, and foster a thriving community for ourselves and future generations. And we welcome contributions of all sizes, as well as invite you to join our team and help expand our work. So you can learn more on our website, and we'll also put on our website how you can donate if you feel inspired to provide a financial contribution of any size. So that'll be in our chat box. Let's see. So today's topic, as you know, is called compost and organic quote unquote waste. And the topic areas that we're going to focus on today are getting a better sense of the what and how of quality compost, what it is and how it's made, the why of quality compost, its value to you and your community as a product and also as a local climate solution, and action steps that you can take to help move composting forward, either in your home, through your business, and or through your community. And we'll just invite you to, this is intended to be an interactive session. So we'll invite you to ask your questions through the chat box, and we'll collect them and make sure they get to our speakers today, who are Ryan and Alissa. And depending on how it goes, we may just call on you. You can use the raise your hand option if you know how to do that as well. In the question and answer session of the event. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our speakers today. Ryan Green will be our first speaker, and he and his wife Adrian Huckabone, they own the Happy Trash Can, which is a Bozeman residential and commercial composting company founded in 2016. The company offers curbside residential, event, and commercial compost collection services in Bozeman, Belgrade, and Livingston. Their mission is to make quality local compost from local food waste to get back into the soils of local farmers, gardeners, and their subscribers. Their tagline is closing the loop one bucket at a time. They also sell their finished compost product by the yard or in repurposed grain bags from local breweries. So you can learn more about them, not only through today, but also on their website. And then Alissa LaChance is the owner of Dirt Rich Compost, which is based in Columbia Falls here in the Valley. Dirt Rich offers curbside residential and commercial food scrap pickup service throughout the Flathead Valley. You can also find their finished premium living compost products for sale in garden stores around the valley, as well as in bulk by the yard. Dirt Rich's biggest passion lies in spreading knowledge about the concepts and science of regenerative agriculture and providing a local product that helps gardeners and farmers maintain a holistic agricultural system to grow more nutrient-dense food, basing their product around encouraging healthy biology in our soils, maybe also in our souls. And I'm going to back up to Happy Trash Can, because I skipped right over Ryan's bio himself, so bear with me. He's originally from Florida, and Ryan has worked in all levels of the food waste cycle, from kitchens to farming to composting. His sustainable agriculture and compost experience ranges from both rural environments in Maine as well as high density urban environments like New York City. So He has a lot to share from both perspectives. And Alissa is Whitefish born and raised, and she holds a bachelor's degree in environmental studies with an emphasis in sustainable agriculture, helping create systems that encourage the nourishment of our wild lands, agricultural soils, and in turn, our community is a prominent focus in her life. Dirt Rich is a tool for her to do exactly that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to stop sharing and let Ryan take it away.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much, Robin. First of all, thank you, Robin, for organizing this and asking Happy Trash Can to be part of it. And thank you, Alissa, for sharing the Zoom with us. We're big fans of Dirt Rich and what's going on up in Kalispell Whitefish. So happy to share the screen with some Big Sky Compost heroes. As mentioned, I run Happy Trash Can alongside my wife, Adrienne Huckabone, who is originally was born in Whitefish and grew up in Montana, Whitefish, Bozeman area. And so, yes, we started this business in 2016 with a shared passion for the environment and community-based projects. A little bit about me, as Robin mentioned. Right out of high school, I went to culinary school, worked as a chef in kitchen and commercial kitchens for many, many years. Through that job and career path, got interested in local agriculture from going to farmers markets and purchasing ingredients from local farmers and creating relationships with those growing the food that I was cooking. And then from there, went back to school, got an undergraduate in agroecology, environmental science. Got my first taste of high density composting through the college I was working at, collecting food scraps from the college's kitchen and bringing them to a local farm to compost as well. From Maine, where I went to college and worked on organic farms for many years. Then Adrienne and I moved down to New York City, where I got a really unique opportunity to work for the New York City Compost Project, hosted by the Lower East Side Ecology Center. And this is where I really dove into food waste composting, food waste, as opposed to just on-farm composting, which would be just, byproducts from the farming process. And so this was my first introduction of engaging with the public around organics recycling, and then also processing food waste in an urban environment where you have to really be considerate regarding the different variables, odors, pests, etc. I'm going to share my screen here. And thank you to my wonderful wife, Adrienne, who put together this little slideshow that I'm going to share with you really quick. All right. So we're Happy Trash Can Curbside Composting. We do commercial and residential pickups here in Bozeman, Belgrade, and Livingston. As you can see on the left is a 5-gallon bucket that we provide for our residential clients. And on the right, you can see our 64-gallon toters and 32-gallon barrels that we supply for our commercial clients. Right now, we're processing around 20 to 25,000 pounds of food waste a week. We service around 850 households in Gallatin County and Livingston, and then roughly around 100 commercial clients as well, too, ranging from small coffee shops that are just, diverting their coffee grounds in a 32-gallon barrel a week, up to the Bozeman Food Co-op, Rose Hours grocery store, and then Costco, where we're pulling away anywhere between 10 to 20 64-gallon toters full of produce waste, hot deli waste, and meat byproduct from meat cutting rooms. So we're trying to connect our community to the organic waste, and then not only to organic, the waste that they're producing, but how we are then processing it, and then what that finished product can also then do for our community in regards to getting finished compost back into our subscribers' hands and back into local gardeners' hands. And really, primarily, a big focus of ours is getting finished compost back into our local agricultural soils. You know, as I mentioned, that's, you know, that's kind of what brought me into composting, was this connection to food, cooking it and growing it. And so for many years, when I first moved to Bozeman, I worked for a local farm, Strike Farms, and that's where we got our start. We partnered with that farm. Originally, we were trading finished compost for land access and equipment access, which was a great way for us to get up and running. But then we eventually kind of outgrew that partnership, and now are selling lots and lots of compost. I think we're, you know, up around, you know, close to 300 yards that we've shipped out so far over the past month or so, a finished product. So this is, here we are processing. We accept food waste, you know, from back of the house in regards to restaurants and grocery stores, where employees are putting the waste that they're collecting into the toters. They're kind of doing a pre-screening, but a big thing too for us is post-consumer waste. A lot of restaurants and cafes, et cetera, have switched over to the compostable PLAs. So it's the to-go coffee cups, the forks, the sporks, the clamshells that are plant-based material, the bags, as you can see here in this photo. So we work very closely with those commercial clients to help them, make sure that they're purchasing compostable plastics that are actually going to break down in our piles, that are certified compostable. There's a lot of greenwashing out there, so we really try to make sure that these clients are collecting, are purchasing the right materials. We direct them first and foremost to a local business, Eco Montana. Heidi and her husband Charlie only sell compostable plastics. They do a really good job of vetting all the material that they're selling to commercial clients. So we really love for our clients to work with them, and then again, just recirculating that local dollar in our community. So here, Adrienne and I are separating through post-consumer waste. So it's a very hands-on process. We do a lot of work on the consumer side, where education is a big part of our work. Adrienne does all of our in-house graphics. She's built our website. She's really great about communicating to the public the idea of what we're trying to accomplish here. And so with these clients, we're also creating customized signage for each client. We're able to work very closely with them, take photos of the compostable products that they do have. So it's a nice visual based sign for the consumer as they're separating, to realize, okay, this goes in the compost bin, this goes in the recycling bin, and then lastly, this goes into the landfill. But of course, we do have to pick out garbage and recycling. It's just the name of the game. But it's also an important factor in having a clean finished process, or a clean finished product, I should say. You know, we don't accept yard waste. Well, I should say we don't accept yard waste on a large scale because of the issues of potential herbicides, pesticides. We only accept it from our residential clients to make sure that, you know, we're communicating with them and kind of vetting that material. You know, the food waste, we're separating out all the garbage, plastics, aluminums that shouldn't be in there, and then mixing the food waste with carbaceous material, meaning just a high carbon material. So wood chips, a mixture of wood chips, leaves, and sawdust as well. So here, I think that's me and the skid steer mixing all that material together to build out into windrows. We utilize a special composting technology system from a company called Sustainable Generation. And so this is kind of where we're seeing the difference between home composting, backyard composting, which typically you're not accepting meat, or you're not putting meat in those piles, you're not putting dairy in those piles, and you're also not putting those compostable plastics in the pile, because it's more of a cold composting process, which breaks down the material at lower temperatures, and then potentially there's potential for pathogens to transfer over, but really the big thing is the pile not heating up enough to break down that meat and dairy that would then might attract pests, you know, raccoons, bears in Montana. I'm sure up in Kalispell area, you guys deal with that way more than we do here in Bozeman. And so we use this technology from Sustainable Generation. The owner and founder of the company, Scott Woods, is actually a Montana native as well. He grew up in the Highline area. He's an MSU graduate. So I had worked with this technology in New York City, where I worked for 3 years with the New York City Compost Project. I worked with the kind of a wide range of different systems in New York. Sorry to backpedal a little bit, but while I was there, I worked specifically with the Lower East Side Ecology Center. And so this was an organization that was a not-for-profit that was started by the founder and her husband, Christina Datz Romera, and her husband, Clyde. In the mid-'80s, they were accepting recycling and then brokering it out from there. Then New York City started doing curbside recycling, so they shifted their focus to organics waste, and were the first organization in New York City to publicly accept food waste from the general public to compost. So what was so wonderful about this program was NYC Compost Project was a program of the Department of Sanitation New York, so a city municipalities waste division. It funded a not-for-profit, a grassroots organization, to kind of go out into the communities and talk about organics recycling, talk about the importance of composting, and actually do it. So this is where I first ran across this Sustainable Generation technology. So what it is it is a ASP system, so it's an aerated static pile. So we're building these windrows of the food waste and the carbon-based material, wood chips, leaves, wood shavings, creating this feedstock and environment for the microbes and to come in and break down the material. We're building the windrows over a big 6-inch perforated pipe. That pipe is then connected to the blower box, which is in the bottom right-hand corner. That blower box has a 1 horsepower fan that is forcing air, if you will, through the pile, through the pipe. And then that fan is controlled by an onboard computer, and that computer has different probes that you insert into the piles, as you can see I'm doing here on the left. So the 2 big probes that are there are a temperature probe to monitor temperature, and then an oxygen probe to monitor oxygen level. Because as we're composting, we're kind of managing these different variables in the process to keep the system moving along, or really keep the microbes moving along to break down this organic material. Once we've got a full windrow built out, we pull this giant, and to give an idea of size, these piles are typically about 10 to 15 feet tall, anywhere between 20 and 30 feet wide, and typically between 30 and 50 feet long as well. So quite a big mass of material, but we're able to process that material really effectively because this air is getting continuously forced through the pile. So we pull the big Gore tarp back. And when I say Gore, it's literally the Gore-Tex material that you wear on your rain jackets, your ski gear, etc. What that is doing is it's an odor suppressant. It does a really good job of, keeping odors down. I mean, composting, it's a biological process. All biological processes have good smells and bad smells associated with them. I guess who you're talking to, it never smells bad to me. But it's all, I used to work with this gentleman in New York City, and he would always say, smells like money. But that was neither here nor there, sorry. But so there's smells associated. So kind of as our first line of defense around what we're doing is trying to keep this odor down. So the tarp does a really good job of it. Also, it's a physical barrier. So it's not going to, we're not putting off any odors that are going to attract pests. And even if there were pests nearby, that big tarp, and we put weights around the rim of the tarp to keep it secure, it creates a physical barrier that's not allowing any pests to come in. And then also it's allowing for oxygen to still breathe through, just like your Gore tarps or your Gore jackets do, which is important to keep that environment aerobic, oxygenated. And then it is not allowing excess moisture into the pile. Moisture content is another variable that we're working to regulate in the composting process. So it's not letting excess moisture out, but it's keeping all the moisture that we've put into the pile inside the tarp. As the pile heats up, and these piles sit and break down, they're actively around 150 degrees consistently the whole time that it's underneath the tarp. And that allows us to break down this material in a very quick manner, basically from raw food waste to a fully broken down compost, not a compost that is fully cured or ready to be sold to the public, but to a point where it is physically broken down and is ready to go into a curing process, which is a stabilization process. It's essentially about an 8-week period, which it's quite fast and allows us to really handle high volumes of material on a small footprint of land. And so, as it's heating up 150 degrees, all that moisture in the pile is evaporating out as steam, hitting the top of the tarp on the inside, condensating, and then falling back down into the pile. So that is a little bit about our process and how we collect and process material. And Alissa will be able to talk about her process and how it's similar, but yet slightly different from ours. And then this next slide is to talk about another big component of our work, which is community engagement. We really want to engage with our community around the importance of diverting this food waste. And again, waste in quotations, because nothing's wasted when you're composting it. Engage with our community about the organic or food waste that they're creating. Not just in the idea of like, oh great, you're composting it and just setting a bucket at the end of the driveway, and then someone's coming by picking it up and that's all you're doing. We're really working to get people involved in using the finished compost as well. So you see myself here. A big thing that we do with our residential subscribers is we give them free compost back as part of their subscription with us. So we've been doing these monthly compost give back events. We go and we set up at farmers markets in the community. We were doing the Bozeman winter market this past winter, and we just bring our truck and trailers full of finished compost and toters. People bring their 5-gallon buckets or bags and we fill them up. It's a great way for us to engage with our client base as well. But also it's a great way for people that are just going to the farmer's market, seeing this flurry of activity of people bringing buckets and taking away compost or dirt, with them, and then that's drumming up a new interest as well too. And Robin, please let me know if I'm going over with time or anything like that as well. And then we have Adrian here at the farmers market doing a tabling event. And then this is our employee, Josh. Another thing that we've recently started to do is these compost drop-offs. So we have our curbside subscription service, where we, you have your 5-gallon bucket, we come to your house, we empty the bucket, we leave you a clean liner every 2 weeks. Or you can sign up for our drop-off program. And there's two things that we're trying to accomplish with, well, there's a lot of things, but two things that we're trying to accomplish with the drop-off program is access in case you live outside of our service zone. So we know what Montana's like. There's the city centers, and then there's plenty of people that live out in the rural environments. And we don't want them to not be able to divert their food waste as well. And a lot of times those clients may have access to land, but they might not have time to manage compost. You need to manage this material to effectively break it down and get a finished product back. And then B, they don't want to deal with the pests. They've got bears, they've got raccoons, they've got other things that are going to inhibit them from doing it themselves. So they can sign up for the drop-off program. They still get one of our buckets. They can still get compostable liners, and they're still eligible for finished compost as well. But what it is, instead of us coming to their house, we have partnered with multiple local businesses that we have had long-term working relationships with, but B, are crucial in our local food systems as well. So here we have one at the Bozeman Winter Farmers Market, a place where people can come and buy local produce and other goods. We have one at Root Cellars. It's a local food processing center, a food hub, where they're buying in lots of local produce, processing it, whether it's chopping it, washing it, whatever, repackaging it and sending it to local institutes or selling it through local grocery stores. So we have a drop off there. We have one at the Livingston Food Resource Center, which is the food bank for Livingston. And then we just opened up one at the Bozeman Food Co-op. So trying to create these drop-offs in central locations where they're easily accessible. And then they're also drawing people in to a business that's working in the local food community. And so hopefully they're engaging with them as well. And then outside of just trying to connect with people that are outside of our service area, this program is a pay what you can program. We really want composting to be accessible to everyone. So we don't want at any point financial restraints to get in the way from people of doing essentially, the right thing, or are diverting their food waste. So people can sign up with that. They name their price, and then it's very easy on our end to just, instead of going to everyone's house and maybe they're paying a little bit less than our normal subscription service, we're just going to a central location where we're already picking up food waste from these businesses, and then in addition taking away a couple of these bins. So just really trying to think about creative ways to expand our reach and the ability for people to compost as much as possible in our community.
Great. So Ryan, just a quick time check. We're going to want to transition to questions and answers in about 12 to 14 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, great. Yeah, I've got 2 more slides. And thanks everyone for bearing with me as I ramble along.
Okay, so will that give time for both you and Alissa?
I can stop now. Yeah, probably not. My apologies.
Oh, just, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we'll give Alissa a chance to fill in and go from there.
Sounds good.
Okay, So can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Hello, everybody. I am super stoked to be here too. Firstly, I want to also thank Climate Smart. So we are really, I'm really grateful that we have a nonprofit like this one in the area and in Montana talking about things that really desperately need to be talked about. We are really behind in the recycling game in Montana. We're really behind in the waste management game in Montana to a degree that's, we need to start figuring it out now. So I'm really glad that, thank you, Robin, for putting this on, and thank you everybody for being here that's interested in this, to learn more information and see what you can do and how you can feel like you're involved in the process of creating change. And thank you so much. I love Ryan and Adrian. You can already tell these guys are awesome. And I'm really we are almost exactly the same in most of what we do. I will talk just a little bit about, I'll just show a couple pictures of our process to save us some time. We are really doing exactly the same thing as them. We have a drop-off option. We have a doorstep pickup option for food waste that we will recycle for folks. We do bagged free compost delivered to doorsteps for people who participate in our doorstep program. Ryan, that's really cool that you do pay what you can. I didn't even think about that. Right now, our drop-off program is $15 a month. So that's another thing that's different from what we do. All right, let me just show you a couple photos, and I'm really interested in answering questions and hearing, what y'all are here for. Because I'm grateful Ryan really covered a lot of the things that needed to be covered, so I don't have to. Okay. No, this one. And, okay, that's me. That's my company, Dirt Rich Compost. We're based out of Columbia Falls in the Flathead Valley. Like I said, we are, sister company to what Ryan and Adrian are doing in Bozeman. Here's some photos of what our operation looks like. We're loading, you can see the bottom. So the top or the lower right-hand corner, we are picking up from businesses and 48 32-gallon bins, taking them back to our site. Top left, you can see that was one of my employees, Ryan, at the time. We're building windrows just like they do. And we sell our compost in bags. You can see me bagging in the top right. You can actually see our dump truck in the back. We use that for food waste pickup. And the bottom lower left corner is one customer from this year that's picking up food scraps or picking up compost to take back to their garden. She works at a nonprofit for at-risk youth in the Valley, and lots of folks from all over the Valley are getting locally made compost that is completing the cycle, which is just super important to me. So the only other difference between what Ryan does and I do is that we do thermal windrow composting. We use a turner to aerate instead of what he showed you, which is an ASP system to aerate. So it's really just doing the same thing, and we are actually transitioning more towards an ASP system or somewhat of a hybrid system that will allow us to use both methods and kind of tailor it to how we need it to work for us. So I really just wanted to touch base on why I think we're even all here, for me, why I do what I do and why we're all here talking about this subject. Composting is a form of recycling, and it is a form of recycling that can be done locally. It's something that, you can visit these businesses. It's people in your community. You can see exactly how they're doing it, the quality of what they're doing. You can see, you're not just putting plastic in a big bin and wondering where the heck it's going and if what should be happening to it is happening. It's a kind of recycling that is a full circle within our community. Yeah, so just to give you a visual right here, in the valley in Kalispell. Some of my friends, Nathan and Cassidy up the top, own Raven Ridge Farm. They produce vegetables for our local community. Wicked Good Produce Distribution. The circle on the right is a local distribution company that distributes food from farmers around our valley, like Nathan. And Backslope Brewery is a great restaurant and brewery in our area that buys from Wicked Good Produce, and also works with us. You can see the bottom left. We come pick up their scraps and we turn it into dirt-rich compost and distribute it back to farmers like Nathan and Cassidy and our other community members and gardeners. So I also wanted to show this one too, because Ryan kind of touched on how, we're in Montana. We're in a very unique setting. It's not like we're trying to be recycling food waste in an area that's urban where there's no wildlife. This is a customer that ended up signing up with me that had what she thought was a protected area where she had her tumbler, her composting tumbler. I'm sure some of you either have one or have seen one. And a bear got into it several times. And so she ended up feeling like, I shouldn't be doing this. I need to contract out somebody to do it for me if I can't get a setup that bears can't get into. Because sadly, the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks get a ton of calls around here with bears getting into people's compost. And once they get in one too many times, they get killed. And it's sad. And we don't have to do it that way, and I know it's a lot of the time it's people that are doing it because they want to do the right thing. And that's why, sometimes, and like Ryan mentioned, in specific cases, if you don't have the time or you don't have the proper setup to compost on your own, that's why companies like Ryan or mine should exist, because, we have a setup that allows us to do it in a bear safe way. And that's really all I want to share. I would like to do some Q&A and see, what kind of questions that are coming up for y'all, and what we can answer for you.
Okay, thank you both. I'm just going to run through the questions that have come through so far. And if you've got questions, those of you who are on the call that are coming forward, go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll just continue to monitor the chat and get these to Ryan and Alissa. Great job, both of you. Thank you so much. One question that came in was for both Happy Trash Can and Dirt Rich. How many pounds of food scraps are you guys collecting a week or processing? Just to try to track.
I don't go by pounds. We track everything by gallons. We don't have a weighing system set up. So it depends on the time of year. We compost for all Glacier National Park. And so as you imagine, when Glacier National Park is up and running, we are processing a lot more. So anywhere from, 3,000 to like 8,000 gallons a week of food waste.
Wow.
Depending on the season.
Yeah, and similar for us as well too. I gave the number of roughly 20,000 to 25,000 pounds a week, and that's just we don't have access to a scale. One time there was a period of time where I was going through there was a truck stop right by our old site, and so I would like go and drive through and get them to weigh me out. And they were very kind to do that, so I was able to get some like rough estimates of weight. But we do everything by volume as well, and we're right in that 3,000 to 8,000 gallons a week.
Great. Okay, cool. Wonderful. Thank you. And so a question that showed up is, how can counties support these programs so everyone will participate in composting?
That's a great question. I'll talk just briefly on that. And so a recent development for Adrian and I and Happy Trash Can is that we actually we moved off of our old site in January that was located in Belgrade. And we are now located on a piece of city property, the Bozeman City Convenience Site, which is on Story Mill Road. This is the old landfill, which is now a convenience site for Logan landfill, where people can come bring trash and recycling. But also the city has run yard waste collection and composting there for many, many years. So we are entering into a working relationship with Bozeman Solid Waste to hopefully expand composting on a citywide basis. At this point, we are just going to be contracted out to actually process the yard waste that they're collecting, which will be done separately from the food waste that we collect. And they also collect food waste from MSU here in town as well too. So we're really just entering into this working relationship. But basically, long story short, if there are businesses like this in your area, support them, work with them, talk to your neighbors about the importance of this service and that you want to see it. Go to city council meetings and talk to that. We've been in operation for 5 years now. And I really believe that the reason why we are seeing this working relationship with Bozeman Solid Waste is because of grassroots pushing from city, our community members going to city council saying, we want this service, we want our tax dollars to go towards this, or tax dollars. These are programs that we believe in. That's the best way I would say is to work. You're seeing it in Missoula. You're seeing it in Helena. Helena just recently kind of set up some zero waste goals and is gotten approval from the city council to set up committees to kind of look into what organics recycling could look like there. Really grassroots. I think if it's coming from the community, it's gonna be heard by those in charge.
Great. Alissa, do you have any comments for our area?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I have to add to what Ryan said is just to really underscore what he said as far as, I don't know about the county where Ryan is at, but the Flathead County is very, it's a slow turning ship, and it's going to take a while. And I agree that the grassroots movement, as far as the more that you can be an advocate, and not in a way that's a shaming advocate, but a one in the way that's this is something really cool and I believe in it. And you can talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to city council, talk to, I even have a sheet that I email people who are like, who do I talk to in the city? I have contact lists I can send you. I've talked at city council in Whitefish several times, and what they have to say is generally there's not enough demand. So the more we can show them, actually there's a large demand for this, the more it will sway where they're putting their thoughts and where they're putting their energy. We are they are here to, do what the community is saying we want and need. So we need to let them know what we want and need via email, via written letter, showing up to city council meetings to say something, and exactly supporting those small composters around you. Is there anything else that I want to say about that? Yeah, just be the one that talks about it, be the one that cares about it. And I know that that's not exciting, but that is the thing that I have seen making the most change here. When I first started doing what we're doing, I think I started 6 years ago. I had to, essentially, beg people to pay me to do this work. And people didn't even know what I was talking about. And now that Ryan and I exist and we are talking about it, and then the circles of people around us are starting to talk about it, and then it just goes out from there. And now I have businesses and residential people calling me daily or weekly to sign up. I don't have to go because the community is starting to get savvy and starting to have this like in their collective conscience. Yeah.
That's great. And we can't stop there. We have to, sounds like we have a job to do as members of the food system, because we eat food, in helping keep this cycle going. So I'm glad to hear that it's positive and moving forward, and it sounds like there's more work to do. Alissa, just if you can send me that sheet that has the contacts in the area, I'll make sure that we include that with the resources that come out along with the recording. We'll send that to everybody who's registered for the session.
Sounds good.
Great. Okay, so let's see. Here's another question that came up. This is more narrow focused. It's a little lengthy, so hang on. It says, I recently started a vermicomposting in my home. I had hopes of not only composting my vegetable scraps, but also shredding and composting cardboard and paper waste. I'm starting slowly, and it appears that the size of my system and number of worms is insufficient to meet my refuse production with a household of 2 people. I was unaware of your services when I decided to do self-composting. I am not sure whether to continue with vermicomposting or just transition to your services. Do you have a recommendation on any of this?
I would say, I want people to, our goal is for folks to be involved with these processes. These are just natural biological processes that sustain life on this planet, that sustain us in our societies. And so I love people when people are doing both. So we have plenty of clients that actually vermicompost at home, and they are vermicomposting primarily their paper scraps and their vegetable waste, which you can feed worms. But then they are also subscribers to our curbside business as well too, because then they are diverting their meat scraps, their compostable plastics, things that you cannot feed your worms. So they're getting the best of both worms, best of both worlds. My first introduction, actually my very first time composting, was I was living in Boston in an apartment, and I got a vermicomposter off Craigslist, and it was a wonderful introduction into the world of biology. And my roommates probably hated me at the time, but hey, it was a fun experiment. And I say do both.
That's an interesting thing that I agree. And that's not what I would have said originally, but yeah, Ryan, that's a good thought to do both. Why not? Because it's number one, I guess it would depend on if you like doing it. Like if you're gonna keep it up. Like if you like doing it, do it. Absolutely, get involved. And I just have so many people that either feel like they should do it or don't like doing it, or they don't put enough time towards it, and it gets like bad smells, and then they just like have a bad idea about what composting is, I guess. So if you like doing it and you like doing the upkeep with it, then definitely you should keep doing it. But if not, and you want to recycle your waste still, like that's why Ryan and I are here, to make sure that people who don't want to take it on their own have an option, to make sure that we're capturing that resource.
Well, great. And then so on a related topic, a question showed up that was, what advice do you have for backyard composting as far as adding catalysts like nitrogen or adding worms?
I mean, I think I guess I would ask a question to you, Becky. Do you have an interest in classes and courses? Because if you do, then say so. And I don't know if it's in your area or whatnot, but that's something that I don't know how much time Ryan is putting towards, but that's good information for us if there are people that are wanting to do courses around this kind of thing. So they don't know what to do. They don't want to do the YouTube thing. They learn better with their hands and through interacting. Then that's information for us. And if that's a way that I can serve the community to get classes going, then I will. I mean, I get these kinds of questions, not that they're bad questions, because trust me, everybody asks them, Becky, because it's a good question. But it's hard to give an easy answer in a quick amount of time. That's all I got. Sorry.
Yeah, I would just add to that is, before you're heading towards adding in, a compost catalyst or a mimid or talking about worms, make sure you're understanding the basics of it. And that is, you're understanding, your feedstocks, nitrogen, which is your food waste, your carbaceous material, which is your leaves primarily in a home composting system, that you have a good system in place too, not just a pile that you're throwing things into, but a good potentially 3-bin system or a tumbler, and that you're actively managing the pile, that you're watching out for moisture, that you're turning it on a regular basis. That's the biggest thing is, yes, you can throw organic waste into a corner and it'll eventually break down, but it might cause you more headaches in the long run. So really kind of making sure you've got a good understanding of those kind of initial basics. And then if you're still having trouble with the process, yeah, maybe look into, the catalyst or worms or more kind of sophisticated systems, if you will.
Excellent, great. Another question comes from Stephanie Brancati, if I've got that pronounced correctly. So first, thank you to Ryan and Alissa. We had no idea these systems were up and running in the state. Awesome. I wonder if cherry orchard growers or owners, around Flathead Lake could help promote the concept since they have a big growers group.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. And there's a lot in that arena, like no judgment. There's a lot of herbicides and pesticides being used at this point and around the lake, and it's not good, especially with cherry orchards. And I would say buy compost, use compost, talk to us about how to use the compost, and talk to us about making, sorry, there's stuff popping up on my screen. Making teas and extracts that can go a really long way. You can buy a smaller amount of compost and it can go a really long way in your orchards for not as much money. And talk to your neighbors and other orchardists about it in a way. Again, I push the not shaming thing. Like, don't be like, yeah, well, I think what you're doing is lame kind of thing, because I've tried that route and it's not very effective. So that's pretty much it, Ryan.
Yeah, the way I think about it is that, it's just like, we are just one piece in this loop, in this puzzle, So we, Adrian and I in Happy Trash Can, we really, we are just one piece in a big puzzle of a lot of people doing good work. So that's why we try to connect our finished product as much as possible back to agricultural purposes, but also we try to work so hard on the front end too with our restaurant and grocery store clients to help them promote the fact that they are going out of their, they are spending extra money, they are spending extra resources to do the right thing. This is not just, it's not just about what we're doing in the composting process. For us, it's a bigger picture. It's a larger look at our food systems and how we're all and how it's all interconnected, and especially when we're talking about local foods as well too. So talking to the orchardist, talking to the local growers, talking to the restaurant owners, talking to the grocery store managers about all of it is, that's how we're pushing forward this movement, if you will, this conversation about what is happening with our waste in our community, how food is growing in our community. And that's ultimately only going to lead to healthier and more sustainable systems down the road.
And I just actually want to piggyback off of Ryan for 1 second. This isn't necessarily pertaining to that question, but I guess I thought that an interesting thing to share with everybody that, you know, I imagine Ryan has found with his operation too, is that, you know, there's more restaurants than grocery stores. There's more residences than restaurants. And the, you know, residential people generally have about 5 gallons worth of waste a week. About restaurants, for us, what we've seen is about, you know, 150 gallons a week or more on average. And what I've seen with the grocery stores that I work with, I mean, I would have it's like around 12 to 1,500 gallons a week. So the takeaway from that is grocery stores waste a crap ton of food. And I think we all know that, but that's like definitely a good entity to go talk to, because they are straight up, we are their clientele. They are serving us. And be like, what are you doing with all the you know, cuttings? So they produce a lot of waste.
And I'll just piggyback off that one moment as well too. And it's just right. It's like, you know, it's this scaling up, if you will. You know, it's like, as residential clients, we're not producing that much, but we have a lot to say in how we spend our dollars in regards to going to, you know, connecting with restaurants that are composting, connecting with grocery stores that are composting, going to our city council saying we want this. You know, working with grocery store clients is kind of a double-edged sword, maybe a little bit, in regards to, like, it's high volume, which is what we need. We need a lot of volume to kind of create these systems, but it's also a little sad sometimes when you're dumping out a toter of, in my opinion, perfectly edible food. And not to come from a place of judgment, because these grocery stores are trying to do the best they can. They are also working with local food banks as well, and we're kind of an end stop on that system. But, you know, we're just trying to get to, you know, we live in a broken system, essentially. We live and operate in these broken systems that commodify waste. You know, GDP, gross domestic product, is how our society, how our economic system rates how healthy our society is. A GDP-based system is always going to promote waste, because it's about production. It's about producing as much as possible. And, you know, a simple statistic is essentially 40 to 50% of food is wasted before it even hits a consumer's plate. So in the long run, what I hope to see is, yes, good work from businesses like Dirt Rich and Happy Trash Can, diverting that waste, but hopefully over the years, is community getting more involved, but also legislation getting more involved, that yes, businesses should have to compost, in my personal opinion, their waste, but that's just not the end all be all, because then essentially we're still creating an industry that is funded off of overproduction, large amounts of waste. What I would love to see too is legislation around composting, but in the long run, incentivizing reducing the amount that people are you know, businesses are composting as well. Anyways, that's my soapbox.
Yay.
That's great. There was a question that came in to just, you know, where can people, where can they find your compost in stores?
In the Flathead Valley, you can find our bagged compost in places like Whitefish Ace, Box of Rain and Kalispell, Hooper's Nursery in Kalispell, Columbia Nursery in Columbia Falls, Third Street Market in Whitefish. I'll type that in for folks. It's also on our website. And we also do deliveries of bulk, and we load people up trucks and trailers, and people can bring buckets to our site too. You just got to book online through our website for times, because it's just two of us running the show, and we are all over the place doing lots of different things. So just to make sure that we're there for you.
Yeah. And Ryan, do you guys sell your product in stores?
So at this point, we don't. We sell directly only, really, and that's just kind of a stubbornness out of my own. I just out of Alissa does a really wonderful job with her packaging, and it's just not something that we've had the bandwidth to focus on. But really, it's just, yeah, we've just found that right now bulk direct sales works best for us. We work and partner. A majority of our compost is sold back to local farms in this area. And so we're lucky to have a lot of local flower and produce farms that are great partners of ours, that are willing to work with us. A big end goal too for us is to make this compost affordable for them. We really want to see this product being used back in local ag. So we sell it mainly through them, and then our customers always get precedent as well, our curbside customers, because it's kind of this idea of like you're feeding into the system, so you're getting to take away from it. And then we schedule bulk deliveries or bulk loadouts as well, just like Alissa. And her sign up is her sign up section on the website is really something to admire. So
great. I have probably a final question. It looks like, unless this is going to be a last call for questions. And while those are coming in, if any, I have a question for the two of you. I notice, Ryan, you specifically call out event food waste composting, and I know, Alissa, you did that specifically for the Whitefish Farmers Market this summer as part of their zero waste market effort. I wonder if the two of you could speak to, just for a minute or two, on the value and implications of including event specific composting. Why is that important? What are the benefits, and what are the barriers or boundaries to it?
I can take that off, start off with that. Yeah, so yeah, we do event composting, so that means kind of a couple of things for us. We partner with the local farmers market here, primarily the Bozeman Winter Market, and then the Bogart Summer Farmers Market, and then also in Livingston, the Livingston Farmers Market. And what this is, what we're doing here is these farmers markets have reached out to us. They want to go zero waste in their endeavors. They're seeing that it's a positive thing that they're doing, but they were creating a lot of garbage on the back end, and realizing the harmful effects of that. And it's kind of going against the missions of these farmer market programs. So these markets, we donate our service to these farmers markets. So we bring bins, we help with staffing, because it's just another opportunity to engage with the community about waste and about what's going on. And then, so we donate the service. The farmers markets, then it's required for all food vendors, prepared food vendors, and a lot of the farmers markets here have a big focus on prepared food, food trucks, etc. They are all required to use compostable serviceware as being part of the farmers market. And so, yeah, it's just an opportunity for us to just show this closed loop system to the community. And then we do a lot of weddings and other, I don't know what it's like up in Whitefish area, but wedding industry is very, very big here in Gallatin Valley, and it is a very wasteful industry as well too. Again, not trying to throw shade or judgment, but it's just a byproduct of trying to throw an event for one night. So a lot of people, and this is coming from the bride and groom side, is a lot of those folks are coming, they're realizing that wedding venues don't have even recycling set up. So what we've done is help them with sourcing compostables. And then we also provide, metal, glass, plastic recycling as part of our service as well for that. Which is, it's an interesting part. Anyway, sorry.
It's great. Thank you. Alyssa, anything you want to add to that?
There's just so much good information to share. Just a couple things, like we also found with single events, especially farmers market, the importance of having somebody manning those bins, because the rate of contamination is so high for us, which is totally doable. Like we're working with the farmers market folks right now to come up with a system where there's somebody there talking to them about waste management and recycling, and helping them figure out where to put what, including food waste and trash not getting put in our bins. I think that having single event waste recycling options, food scrap recycling options, is really important. On the end of the farmers market style things that are in our communities and in the city centers, it's like such a great way for people to learn that recycling exists, like food scrap composting exists in our area, opportunity to spread that word. And like Ryan said, like the Flathead Valley is also exploding with weddings, and from a lot of them are not people from here either. And there's a lot of waste being created. And if we can capture that resource and reuse it, I mean, heck yeah. So
great. Okay, so a very large topic just showed up as a question, and we have 2 minutes. So you're going to give it your elevator speech, and maybe we'll follow up with in the resource takeout, because here is the question. And just so you know, in 2 minutes, we're going to transition to announcing the raffle winner and asking people to just take a moment to fill out a quick survey. So, but the question is there such a thing as organic compost if you don't know where your food scraps come from?
Could you clarify
I think
that?
you're saying if you don't know that whether the food scraps were certified organic to begin with, how.
Right. Okay. So Ryan, I'm just going to say something real quick and then pass it on to you. So in order to get certified organic compost, like to sell a certified organic compost product, none of the food waste that you take needs to be certified organic. None, like a very small percentage of what we take in is certified organic. What you need to do in order to be a certified organic distributor is, to get your compost up to a certain temperature, manage everything properly according to their guidelines, and not take certified compostable plastics, because there's a synthetic in certified compostable plastics that they do not yet accept as organic.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we don't sell a certified organic product. And it is because we get our piles up to those temperatures. We process, we track everything as part of the National Organics Board's rules. But the big thing here is we cannot accept those compostable PLAs, and we think it's more important for our community. As Alissa and I have spoke on this topic quite a bit, and we find it more important to accept the compostable PLAs in our community to help our community move away from single-use plastic, more so than selling a quote-unquote organic certified compost. We get all our compost tested. We feel good behind the product that we're selling. I haven't seen any studies that show any sort of large buildups of this. This synthetic is 0.1% of the material that's being used to create these compostable plastic. And as someone who's worked on many of organic farms, not only in Montana, but all over the country, organic farmers are allowed to use black plastic in their fields, which is a great weed control method, a great season extension. But this is kind of a more personal beef about the whole situation, is that when farmers are laying black plastic down, you can't tell me that plastic in the field is not leaching plastic into the soil. You are not getting 100% of that plastic out of the field as well, too. So anyways, that's my spiel on it.
Thanks so much. This is a longer conversation. I appreciate it.
It's definitely a big topic.
Yeah. We'll try to capture that in our resources. I want to thank you both for an excellent conversation and dialogue. And unfortunately, we do have to bring it to a close. I'm going to pass the baton to Katie Wallace, who's going to jump on and just announce who is our raffle winner this session. And while she's doing that, I will put the link in for the survey. If you could just take 3 or 4 very quick questions, if you could take that survey, it would be fabulous. I will also put the link in for our session number 3 coming up at the end of May. And that is called Making Your Business Zero Waste. So look for those. And well, there we go. Katie's ahead of me. So I'm going to stop talking and let Katie take it over.
Thanks, Robin. So yes, at every one of these sessions, we do a random raffle for a gift card that's local to the Flathead Valley, but they do all have online stores or resources that if you don't live locally, you can still take advantage of them. So of all the sustainable businesses for this session, we are giving away a gift card to Coffee Traders. We thought it'd be fitting since you can compost coffee grounds. And the winner of that today is Dennis. He was on the screen. I just saw him, but Dennis Wassley is the recipient of this one. So we'll get in touch with you to give you that gift card. And I will also put in the chat the link to our survey. We will send a follow-up email as well. So if you want to get to it later, you don't have to do it right this second. We'll send an email out so we can get your feedback. And then I think Robin also just dropped the session 3 registration as well. That is all I have. So Robin, I'll pass it back to you.
Just a plug again for taking the survey. It's very fast, and it has been incredibly helpful to us in helping us refine the structure and format of the sessions so that they are giving you the information you're looking for. So I thought this was incredibly helpful. I hope you found it informative as well. We invite you to invite your friends to participate. It's going to take all of us to help move towards beyond recycling and towards zero waste. And again, feel free to reach out to us at Climate Smart Glacier Country with any questions you may have, and look for the recordings coming through your email box for this session in the next couple days. Any final thoughts or questions? But we're gonna close it out now. Thanks again.
Thank you all. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Alissa. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for doing the good work, everybody.
It takes a village. Don't forget it.
That's
Bye.
great. All right. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.